closing remarks, again, I think now you've got a pretty clear idea of some of those contributions to the area. And when it came to his cattle operation, there were some breeds of cattle that weren't down here yet, so that was a big deal to him too. So he helped introduce that Hereford cattle to the area, and they formed, he was one of the first of 7 members on the board for the Hereford Association. And again, I see that as a contribution. And I don't think I mentioned this, but in this book, The Trail Drivers of Texas, a cowboy references the point that for T.P. McCampbell and his brother, he was hired to build 7 miles of barbed wire fence here in San Patricio County. That's an awful lot of fence, and it just kind of speaks also to the amount of land that he had.
You know, he patented that barbed wire. I was at a place called GSM Insurance in Rockport, Glass Horse and McDavid, and they have a plaque on the wall of different strands of barbed wire. And there was a piece that was patented by T.P. McCampbell, and I offered to buy that off of them, but we're not going to do that yet. And I went back in there a few years later, and it's not on the wall, but nobody knows what happened to it.
Oh, because if we just had a picture of it, that would be
Yeah,
wonderful.
yeah.
So he was a director with the Aransas Harbor Company, and that deal that he worked with the lieutenant governor and whatnot, I would imagine if we were a fly on the wall, TP would have said something about, I'll help you with this land, or we'll do a deal, but I want to be on he wanted to protect his investments, so he said, I want to be on the board of directors and whatnot. And that helped him ensure that he could be involved in the promotion of that area, because at this point they're looking for other ways other than trail driving to get your cattle to market. And that's why, another reason why the trains were so important and the shipping operations were so important. When St. Mary's was going on, they had built, just imagine all the pens that were holding cattle, because they got to the point where they were putting cattle on those schooners. And toward the end, they had, as they dredged deeper in both of those areas, they were able to get some bigger ships in. And I don't want to not acknowledge also the contributions his wife Mary did, because he died young, and of course she was left with all this land and what to do and whatnot. And again, the developers of Aransas negotiated a deal with her that it's written that it went down as one of the biggest land sales in South Texas. They did a deal, and then they put out like 6,000 lottery tickets for, like, you could buy it for $100, and that would guarantee you a lot of land here. So they were trying to promote the people from the Midwest to come out this way. So as far as I'm concerned, I think of all of them also as impresarios who are just doing what they could to build up this area and bring people to this area. So, you know, we talked about him being in the Texas Rangers, we talked about his stores, we talked about some of the businesses and whatnot he was involved in, and that's pretty much it. I think a big part of him in this area, a big part of that was tied to the land and what land can do, because here we are at the airport. And I want to also acknowledge Gordon Porter, former county commissioner, and his involvement in getting this airport going, because he was instrumental in convincing, I assume it's Robin's mother and some of the ones that were on the family board at that time, that this would be good for the community to sell this land to the county so we can get this airport in here. And so here we are. And Gordon Porter, you know, again, we talked about how we're all connected, we all know each other. Gordon Porter was born on the McCampbell Ranch, and he is, again, a distant cousin and is tied to T.P. McCampbell somewhere on the tree, don't ask me where, but family friend of my father's and close to our family. So we're appreciative for everything he did in getting this going, and that's pretty much it. I hope y'all learned something. I hope, you know, you have a better understanding of who he was. I wish I knew him, but that was a long time ago. 1903 is when he passed. So, but thanks for putting this on, Nancy, and the rest of the museum and airport staff. We really appreciate it, and we really appreciate the case that we were given to honor. We set that up last night, and that honors my father and his brother, who are both aviators. So it's